All right.
We're starting now. What's going on, you guys? Gaming Addict here, coming at you for another Addict Show where we talk about the past, present, and future of gaming. I'm here with a special guest, man. You guys know I can't pronounce stuff. I'm going to attempt to pronounce this man's name. It's Archimedes, right?
Archimedes.
Archimedes. I was close.
Very close.
I'm gonna give myself that. But I definitely appreciate you coming on here. There's as you could tell, we were going a little early. We're going a couple hours early because my friend is on the other side of the world. So obviously there's going to be a little bit in terms of scheduling that had to be accommodated a little bit. So how have you been doing, man?
Thank you. Thanks so much for the invite. I've been doing great. I mean, just yesterday, my YouTube channel hit the 4K subscriber milestone. Yeah. And today I'm on the Addict Show, so it can't get any better than that. So I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for the invite, and thanks for shifting over your schedule just for me. Like you said, it's kind of late here already in Germany, so appreciate that. Yeah, looking forward to the show.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate you coming on, man. So we got a good show with you guys. We're gonna have I think we're having a third person join here in a couple minutes. We'll have to see about that. But we got a good show going for you. We got some Halo Infinite to talk about. Kind of want to break that down a little bit more. Mic volume is super low on Addict. I mean, I don't know how it's low. Okay. All right, what about now? Is that better? Is it? Can people
Definitely
hear me?
louder.
Can people hear me in the stream better now? All right, well we'll wait for that to catch up to them. So I want to talk about Halo Infinite a little bit. I felt like the beta is officially over. We actually got to play some PvP too, which was interesting. Then I want to talk about this PS5 SSD quote unquote fix. I do feel like there is some things that we need to bring up on that. And I don't necessarily think that, I am done talking about this particular thing. Then we're going to talk about Horizon Forbidden West most likely getting delayed to 2022 and how much I told people I was right. And what does that lead Sony in terms of a lineup of 2022? So we're gonna get straight into this, man. Let's talk about this SSD thing first, man. Mighties, let's
Right.
talk about this. Like, when you heard about this, what was your first thought process? That the fact that they are going to have you beta test for hardware. I'm gonna repeat that for you guys. You're gonna be participating in beta testing for hardware.
Yes, indeed. What was my thought? I thought, okay, Twitter is going crazy about this or over this, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, this is such a weird thing to do, to be honest. I still don't get why it's a beta. Like you said, it's. I can't remember that we are beta testers for actual hardware that is in our homes and that we paid money for. However, it's also sometimes a little bit blown out of proportion, of course, on social media. The thing really is, for me, my first thought is, okay, just with a lot of other things on the PlayStation 5, Sony is just doing it as usually. I mean, in the last generation, when you wanted to exchange your hard drive, you also had to open up the PS4, take the hard drive out, put a new one in. And this is just the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. The difference is, though, that their biggest competitor made gaming so convenient, and the console design and all that.
Technically, in the Xbox One, you couldn't replace your hard drive. You could only
Yeah.
hook up an external.
True that. There was a workaround that only worked on the One S and One X, not on the base Xbox One, where you were able to do that, but that was definitely obviously a hack. On the PlayStation 4, you were allowed to do it, at least, yeah. And I mean, this is kind of the same thing. I don't think it's such a big deal like some people made it out to be, because just do that once. Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're swapping out hard drives constantly, and obviously it's a little bit more work than on the Xbox side, but it can be done. The thing for me really is what I thought is so weird is first the beta thing, of course. Then the second thing is that they really don't give out a clear statement which hard drives should we use, because you can assume that the casual customer out there will order the wrong hard drives. Yeah, you have to think about so many things now. Not just read and speeds. You have to think about the heat sinks. You can have the heat sinks only attached on one side, not two-sided. Most SSD out there have the heatsink attached to both sides. Yeah, you have to think about these kind of things, and I bet that a lot of people will purchase the wrong SSD that doesn't work properly. And that's just something that I find so weird, and that they put out that statement about liability, that they don't take any responsibility about the hardware and what happens with it and whether the games run or not. And that's just weird to me. So if you do it like this, your extension method, just put out a proper statement. These are the SSDs we recommend, and we can guarantee that those will work and they would be fine. But this is just kind of weird.
I think the biggest issue we have here is just like how weird they're being about stuff. I'm
Yeah.
just like, look, like if you, I think this is entirely just for legal purposes. I think they want to make sure that, you know, if something goes wrong, you're not expecting that PS5 to be replaced. So yeah, it's weird. What's funny is like the people that are on Twitter saying this isn't that hard. It's not that hard. It's actually pretty easy. The problem is people have the assumption that everyone has the same tech level that everyone has. I've
Agreed.
worked in
Yeah.
customer service. Like, you'd be surprised how tech dumb people are. Like, and we're not talking. I
Yeah.
would say like my age and lower is getting a little bit better, but my age and lower are still pretty tech dumb in a lot of areas. Like,
Yeah.
they are okay when it comes to like, you know, installing something, uninstalling something, rebooting your phone, closing apps down. But the moment you ask them to take something apart in any way, shape, or form, you know, sure, it's not a lot of taking apart. You only have to rip the sides off, and you have to unscrew a couple screws. But to the average person, that is a lot. Like, that is a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Especially nowadays. I mean, consoles have always been that kind of convenience box that is this closed ecosystem that you just plug and play. It just works. Yeah, if you want to open up a box, put in an SSD, check the specs out, usually you would build a PC, and PC building got a lot less over the last years, because people just buy the pre-built laptops, they buy their pre-built iPads and whatnot. And I it's funny that you mentioned that, because I just had the discussion over the weekend with my uncle, because my cousin, he is now 19 years old, and he doesn't know shit about computers, how they actually are built up and everything, because he grew up with that iPad in his hands that you just buy and everything works. He never built his own PC. When I grew up, you were not able to buy a pre-built PC or a laptop or something. Yeah, my first PC, I had to go to the library and read books to be able to build that thing and install DOS on it. So that's just the stuff the average consumer doesn't do anymore. And now, I'm not saying it's that complicated, but you are absolutely right. Consoles are usually that convenient gaming box where you don't have to do anything, just plug and play, and that's taken away now. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like I said, this is not a big deal. I don't want people thinking that, you know, that people are out here saying, yo, this is the most inconvenient thing in the world. It's not. But I will say, like, it's okay to say that it's not that hard, but it's still an inconvenience.
Yeah.
It's not. Look, at the end of the day, there's a thing called DoorDash exists. All right. Do I want to go get my food? No. Is it them bringing it to me an lessens the inconvenience? Yes. But I can still admit that I'm being lazy because I don't want to drive up there and do it. Like, so it's just like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like, some people just don't want to do none of that nonsense. Like, and then not to mention you got people that kind of know what's going on, but then they're like, yo, can I break it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you got to think about, like, a lot of people, when they buy electronics, taking it apart is not on the table at all.
Yeah. True. It's also, I don't know about the exact laws in the US, but here in Europe, every electronic device that you sell has to have 2 years of warranty. Yeah. So no matter what you buy, when it's an electronic device, you have automatically 2 years of warranty. But usually they have those seals across covers and whatnot. It is on my PlayStation 5. Yeah. If you open that, you lose warranty. And that, to remove that sticker alone is something, yeah,
I
like you
don't
said.
I don't think do you break the warranty sticker doing this? I think it's deeper. I think you have to go deeper into the system than just the SSD to break the warranty. I don't know though, but I'm sure someone in the comment section probably knows.
Yeah,
So
I
definitely
haven't
put it
opened
in
up
there.
my PS5 yet, so I can't tell.
I am not.
But I've seen that sticker from from a lot of videos, and yeah,
It's sad, man, because it's like at the end of the day, like, I'm not even disagreeing with the selection that they did and how they did it. I'm just like, why is there beta
yeah,
to test switching hard drives out? Because to me, that screams we're unsure because we haven't done enough testing, so we're gonna put the word beta on it to blame you if it happens. Like,
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
but
that's the topic about liability. Yeah, just put out a statement. These are the hard drives, and now they are working.
yeah, but you know, we've seen that they've low key did that, but guess what came down to it? They're like, these are the ones that work, but I'm just saying I don't know if they're gonna work. Like, it feels like it's so unprofessional what they're doing. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's just like, dude, like, there shouldn't be this many jumps and hoops just to switch a hard drive. Like,
Yeah,
and I've stated from the point, and I don't know if you agree with me. I feel like the PS5 was rushed out the door. I feel like, you know, they probably. I'm not saying that they were slacking when it comes to, you know, research and development, but I do feel like, you know, something happened or they didn't finish that design quick enough. Because first off, I've said it over and over again, that PlayStation does not look like the PS5 does not look like a PlayStation design at all.
no, no, not at all.
Um,
Yeah, I've heard that argument many times, and I thought about it many times. I'm not sure if they rushed it out. I think they were just surprised by the competitor, and they had to adjust a couple of things on a short notice, to accommodate what Microsoft was doing. We've seen similar things with the OG Xbox in 2013. Yeah, that the whole concept of the original Xbox One was completely different, and they changed the entire console concept within 6 months before launch. And it kind of feels to me like that was what was happening with the PS5 when Xbox announced the specs of the Xbox Series X very early on. I think it was in February last year, January or February, where they had that Digital Foundry hands-on, and we got the baseline for all the specs. I think they were just really surprised by it.
and then you got to think that just because when we found out, they probably knew before then. Like, I have a personal theory because we all know the PlayStation 5 is overclocked. I personally feel like they saw the difference in the power between the PS5 and the Series X, that they're like, we're not living a Series X, an Xbox One X, and a PS4 Pro all over again for twice as long. So I personally feel like maybe that system was designed a little bit differently a year and a half before it came out, and they had to redesign it to accommodate for the overclocking heat that they did.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So exactly my train of thought. Yeah, the chip was more or less ready, probably not with the same specs. Then they saw the Xbox Series X specs, and the only thing they could do, because there was not enough time to change the actual chip design. Yeah, what they could do is overclock it a little bit, maybe change a little bit the heat sink and everything, the cooling, and then rush it out the door. It's just how it felt to me when the PS5 came out. I still think it's a good console. The problem for me is with a lot of things on the PlayStation right now, um, it's just they are doing so many things just like they did it the last generations. While Microsoft is innovating on so many spaces on the back compat size, of course, with the features like quick resume, auto HDR, stuff like that, then we have of course, the value with Game Pass and everything. Then the convenience with all my controllers work, the extended hard drive with just the little card you plug in, stuff like that. They made so many innovations with the system, while Sony is just doing business as usual. But it's not enough anymore when your competitor is so far ahead in terms of convenience, features, value, etc. Yeah,
I've
that's
al-
just what we're seeing right now.
I've always felt like, look, like a lot of Xbox fans demand better games from Xbox, and we do
Yeah,
it all the time. But it's just like I feel like people look, games are extremely important in a gaming console, but
absolutely.
features are important too. And I feel
Yeah,
like that energy is never given to PlayStation. Like you can still, it's like they act like if the engineering teams that make the console and the software developers make like gifting on PlayStation, it's gonna make Horizon a worse game. Like I've
no,
never understood that. Like
me
the
neither.
the features between the Xbox and the PS4, I mean the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are night and day at this point. And
Yeah, absolutely.
we want the industry in general to be better. We want the industry on PlayStation software to be better, and we want the industry on Xbox's games to be better. And I feel like it's only ever really highlighted on the Xbox. You know, it's just like
Agreed.
no, like more improvements can happen to just Xbox.
Yeah, yeah, I agree 100%. It's kind of I made a video about this a couple of months ago on the difference in between the two hardcore fan bases. While the Xbox fan base is really criticizing Microsoft for stuff when they came out and increased the gold price, yeah, or like you said, games. The community has been demanding games for years now, but the PlayStation community is not that vocal when it comes to criticism of their brand, yeah, and yeah, like you said, we should as a gaming community speak up when we need improvements, and Sony definitely needs that on the features side, software side right now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I really like my PlayStation 5. It's I've had all the PlayStations ever released. I'm a gaming fan through and through. I own all the consoles and I own a very decent gaming PC. But sometimes when I turn my PlayStation 5 on, it just feels like also the UI and everything is not really thought through entirely. So why do I need like 10 clicks now to turn my console off? When I go to my installed game section, why can't I see how much space I have left on my hard drive? It's these little kind of things that are just not thought through. If you compare that to their competitor. And people were really criticizing Xbox for not having a brand new UI when the console launched. And everyone was saying, oh, it just feels the same, yeah, just a little faster. But at least everything is working. Everything is in place. Like you said, the features are there. And they have been constantly adding month over month stuff, yeah. Frame rate boost was added 2 months after or 3 months after launch of the console. Stuff like that is added constantly. And I haven't seen a real update up until this beta of the hard drive now on the PlayStation side. Yeah. But also the fan base is not speaking out about this.
And I think a lot of it has to do is like me. We say it all the time on the Iron Lords podcast. I'm getting tired of this mindset that people could do whatever they want as long as they make good games. It's
Yeah.
like no, like I don't care if
Nope.
I don't care if Fable comes out is a colossal hit. Halo comes out, it's a colossal hit. Avowed comes out, it's a colossal hit. But Perfect Dark comes out, a colossal hit. If they do something I don't like, I'ma still call them out. It's just like, just because you make good games, don't mean you could treat me bad as a consumer. Because you can take your good games and I will still leave them.
Yeah. I've said it many times. No platform holder should have that kind of self-confidence to come out or start a new generation by increasing game prices. This is just something. If a platform holder is that higher up his head, then something is wrong. And that's why we need the competition. We need that pressure from Microsoft, Nintendo, and now coming also in Steam with their device. We need that competition because no platform holder should be, I don't want to use the word arrogant, but I don't know a better word right now.
They're getting full of themselves. They are.
There's no denying that. To do that. And like you said, they are making great games. Some awesome games out there, but yeah, what is the reality? I'm sitting here debating with myself. Game prices are now 80 euros in Germany. That's like $93 for a PlayStation 5 game, and that's kind of, to me, where I draw the line. That's a real investment now. Yeah, that's why I didn't buy a game like Returnal. I just said, okay, that's not a $93 game for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I just feel like people, they get too prisoner of the moment. And, look, there obviously are Xbox people out there that's claiming everything's fine with games. There's PlayStation people out there that's claiming everything's fine with that. But to me, like, as far as content creators in this community, I do not see the same energy in terms of them. Like, I hate when I bring up, it's like, look, let's call PlayStation out for the Ghost of Tsushima $10 thing. They're like, but these Xbox people did this. I don't see this. I'm like, not talking about that first off, but why you keep bringing up random people I've never heard of on Twitter acting like that is the mass majority of Xbox people. And then when you ask them for like a link of proof showing when people have stated everything is fine, then they just go crickets or they block you. Because they know that when it comes to just stating stuff out of your ass, it's fine. But when I demand those receipts, they disappear.
Yeah, that's how fanboys act out there. It's really funny because when I started being a content creator and getting active and a bigger follower base on Twitter, I was constantly posting about me enjoying games on my Switch, on my PlayStation, on my Xbox, of course. Obviously, the Xbox is my main platform. That's where I play all the third-party games. That's where I have most of my friends. I'm still enjoying playing on my PlayStation, though. But as soon as I say something good or bad about either of them, I'm constantly getting blocked, pushed as or labeled as a fanboy of one or the other side. It's really crazy. It's you can't say anything bad about any of the brands, even if your criticism is totally valid.
During this E3, I got attacked because I just stated I wanted more from Starfield. Like, and people was like, "Oh, you got no right asking for that." And I'm like, "Look, like, am I like, to me, they at every corner, they might not necessarily have been hyping up Starfield, but they mentioned it at every corner." Yeah. Like, the first meeting and the first interview that was done after the studio was bought was between Pete Himes, Todd Howard, Aaron Green, Phil Spencer, and I think it was either Sarah Bond or Aaron Greenberg. I can't remember which one of them was there. But they literally brought up Starfield as an example of their companies mixing. Like, they held on to the Starfield. They held on to the Starfield being exclusive for so long to drop that at E3. And you mean to tell me they weren't hyping that in any way, shape, or form? Like, no. Like, I'm sorry. The amount of energy that they put into this game, and then you want me to sit here and act like a 30-second trailer that didn't show nothing is okay, is never going to fly with me.
Yeah, I feel you there. I really liked the E3 press conference from Xbox. Really did.
That
They've
was the
shown a lot
only
of
thing.
games.
That was the only negative I had for the
Uh,
whole
I,
thing.
I had another thing. I had that problem with the CGI trailers a little bit too much because when I thought about it, well, all the Xbox first-party games have only been shown with CGI trailers. We have not seen during the conference any gameplay for outside of Forza Horizon. For the Xbox first-party games. But my biggest criticism, and I totally feel you, I was in a direct reaction show after the conference, and I said I was a little bit disappointed about Halo Infinite, not with the way how it looked, but that they have not shown anything properly from the game. Yeah, we didn't get gameplay from the campaign, and we only got that montage of kill cam shots from the multiplayer. At that point, they didn't announce yet that there is a deep dive coming tomorrow. I didn't know about that because they didn't say that during the E3 show. And so I
Nothing.
went
They
out
didn't
of
even
the...
bring it up at all.
Yeah, they brought it up like an hour after the show ended.
Horrible
immediately after the show, I was there. Okay, and that is how you show your biggest game of the year. Obviously, they corrected that the day after with a very good deep dive, and Halo looks amazing and everything. But that was a little bit my takeaway from the E3 showcase. And when I said that publicly, oh, dude, the fanboys came after me.
Yeah, it's just like, man, like I can disagree with something, but still understand why they did it. Like,
yeah,
and I understand where you're coming with the Halo thing, because it's like, how hard would it have been at the end of that trailer to be like, for a deeper dive, watch out for tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, that's all you had to say. Like, if people want me to like believe that type of wording is just gonna destroy the whole conference, like, but you know, it is what it is.
No.
I don't want to go too much into that because I could rant all day about fanboys, man. So, you know, let's go ahead and talk about this Horizon Forbidden West getting moved to 2022. Well, it's not beneficial, but it's official. Like, if you think this game's coming out this year, you're not paying attention. And I've stated on Isle Lords podcast every Sunday at 1 p.m. that this game is not coming out this year. I remember getting attacked because I was so adamant about it. Look, at the end of the day, does that hurt PlayStation? Yes, because I do believe that's going to make Halo come out even stronger, because they don't really have any PlayStation game to like be compared to. Because we all know, even though that these two games should never be compared, people are going to compare them.
Definitely.
So what I want to ask you is, do you think this game coming out hurts their 2021 lineup? Because besides this game, we only really have Ratchet and Clank Returnal, and because Demon's Souls came out last year. I mean,
Spider-Man 2
came out last year.
Yeah.
So
and Gran Turismo has also been delayed to next year. So pardon me.
Yeah, I just personally feel like, you know, this is something that we expected, but no one wanted to admit.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I also expected that for quite a while now. It's actually right after they shown that deep dive gameplay sequence. I said that game is never going to come out this year. The thing is, first, let me say it's a good thing to delay a game. If a game is not ready, I'm always pro delaying. Give the developers the chance to polish the game in a manner that they intended to. It will help us gamers all the time. However, obviously, their lineup then is this year really not that strong. If you look at the last couple of years, they had like at least 3-4 major releases each year. I mean, last year was insane with The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Miles Morales, Demon's Souls, etc. That was a fantastic lineup throughout the year. And the Final Fantasy VII Remake and whatnot. And this year, Returnal and Ratchet, even though Ratchet was awesome, I really enjoyed that game. Probably in the top 5 of the games I've played this year. It's going to be weak. Whether it hurts them is a very good question, because they are still selling every console they can manufacture right now. So does it really make a difference for them if they release that game this year or not? if they sell out all the consoles that they can build. And the difference between Sony and Microsoft is that their business model is still relying on selling the actual console. Yeah, well, you could always argue with Microsoft that for them it's not just about console sales anymore. For them it's more about engagement with their entire ecosystem. Yeah, they're also happy if you play on PC or via cloud or whatever, on your smart refrigerator, wherever you want. That's the difference with Sony. For them, the success of the business is still measured in by selling console units, and if they sell everything that they can build, does it hurt them if they don't release that game this year? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do feel like it does hurt them to a point. It's like I said, I think maybe because here's the thing, like optic wise, it looks bad because it's just like, you delayed this game out of 2022, but I do feel like next year, where is it going to come out? Like, is God of War still coming out next year? Because
No.
I personally feel like God of War is 2023. So,
listen, God of War was originally intended to come out in 2022. They never planned for that game to release in 2021 in the first place. I don't know how anyone can believe that. That game was always planned to come out next year, but now with the pandemic being running for 1.5 years now, the actual delay is from 2022 to 2023. I think God of War is a 23 game.
I do too. And, this comes out next year. Obviously, it's going to be a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
But when I saw, Horizon Forbidden West, it's not that I didn't think it looked impressive. It did. What I saw just looked like pretty much what the first one was, just looked a little bit better. And to me, I don't want all this hype going into this game, and then when it comes out, it's disappointing because people expected a variety of different gameplay changes. And it's just and I've always been the kind of person that feels like if a game gets delayed, the expectation for that game goes higher. Because people, I have to wait for it. Okay, I'll wait for it, but is it going to be better? Why was it delayed? And I think that's a problem with the consumer base, but I do think that exists. Like, for instance, every time Halo's been delayed, I feel like that tick goes up and up and up. And that's why I'm a big person that if you're going to announce a game, you better make sure you at least have a general idea of when it's coming out. The pandemic is different. We couldn't expect a lot of the stuff that's going on with the pandemic, but you should never have been announcing release dates during the pandemic at all, whatsoever. Because at any time, COVID could spark up again and people have to go home. At any time, any of this could happen. You should never do a release date during this type of scenario. And I think too many people, it's okay to announce a game. It's not okay to falsely announce a release date. And I've always felt like God of War, they should have got more backlash for that. They announced last year that God of War was coming out this year, and I'm confident they knew it wasn't coming out this year.
Yeah.
And people's like, oh, they just doing this to generate hype. It's okay to generate hype. It's not okay to lie to people.
Yeah, agree 100%. Transparency, very important. Yeah, you can say we have that in the pipeline, and if you are confident to keep that release date, you can name a release date, but you have to be really confident. I agree with you there. You never should lie, and we have seen that unfortunately too many times right now. Yeah, coming from them.
Yeah, and it's just look, they could have easily went on there, and they could have easily said, God of War Ragnarok's been announced, didn't put no form of release date or anything whatsoever on there, and they would have been fine. I don't know why they put a release date, unless they're trying to hype you into buying a PS5 out the gate.
Yeah, and that's probably what happened. But I still think they would have achieved the same hype if they would just have said the game is coming soon, something like that. Yeah. It would have generated the same hype, but you didn't feel, or we as the customers, we wouldn't feel like being lied to. Yeah.
And I personally feel like people were letting Sony get away with this too much. There was the we believe in generations thing. Sure, we clowned on them, people clowned on them, but I don't feel like they got a lot of heat.
No, not at all.
There was, they literally put Gran Turismo coming to they literally put it's only a PlayStation 5 exclusive, And then when it came to putting them on trial for that, it's like people forgot about it in 2 days. And there was no date.
I made a video about that because they had that conference September last year. Someone in September they had that their second big show of the year, and Jim Ryan said in that interview, and I quote now, "We believe in generations." And literally 1 minute after that show, they posted the blog post where they announced that Horizon and one other game is coming also to the PlayStation 4. It's just ridiculous if you think about it. There was really no backlash for them about that. But when Microsoft announced that, they let Microsoft take all the heat. The people were really coming at Microsoft there for holding game development back and whatnot. And now we see that they're taking the same route. Actually, I think Microsoft has announced way more next-gen or current-gen exclusives than their competitor.
You know what's crazy? I remember like a couple years ago, I don't know if you was around by then, but Microsoft just talked about a game being canceled before it was announced. And I remember the amount of attacking that they got over it. They're like, "Oh, you." Yeah. And then I'm like, they literally never announced this game. I don't even think they had a name. It was a code name. And the amount they got more hate for that than Sony literally lying to the consumer base. And you know, I feel like the only thing that they actually lied about was the Gran Turismo being exclusive, because I feel like a lot of this stuff, they're just conveniently leaving information out. They're not really, because, you know, they said, "Oh, this is a PlayStation 5 Miles Morales." And look, we're just going to conveniently leave out there's a PS4 version. So, and then when it comes to scenarios like this, it's like, okay, do we expect a PS4 version of games now? Like, should I buy a game, PS5, knowing Ratchet and Clank's only in the PlayStation 5, when you have deliberately hid this information? Is it fair to assume that I would assume that maybe Ratchet and Clank will come out for the PS4 eventually?
Yeah. Like you said, they just leave the informations out, and that comes back to transparency. That's what we have seen. Microsoft wasn't good at that a couple of years ago, but they have changed their marketing strategy when it comes to that. They are being very transparent, and they take a lot of heat for it, because typically when they announce something new, something that gamers are not used to, the first thing is that they get attacked for. They did that for the cross-gen approach, for the backward compatibility. They took a lot of heat for that. And yeah, in the end, it's transparency. I know what I'm getting. And we also see that with the game lineup itself. Microsoft has announced right now, well, 22. No, actually, it's 21 now, because the Flight Simulator has released 21 first-party games now that are in the making. That's a transparent roadmap. If I invest now in the Xbox ecosystem, I know exactly what I'm getting in the next couple of years. The next 3 years, I will be getting like 22 or 21 Xbox first-party games, plus a couple of course, of second and third-party deals. What do I get on the PlayStation side? They have announced Gran Turismo, for God of War, and Horizon 3. We know that there's more coming, but it's not that they are really transparent. They just stay silent. Yeah, they are skipping all the major shows. E3, Gamescom is coming up in 3 weeks now. Sony's not going to be there
either.
Yeah.
So. It's one thing. I've always felt like if you don't want to make a conference, that's one thing. But I get it. You don't want to spend that money, because that's realistically what this is about. But it's just like, I think you owe it to your fans to at least have a presence on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so weird to see, because last generation, I was always like, man, Sony is so good in being transparent and laying out their roadmap. And people always said, yeah, they're announcing games way too early. But I said, at least they are selling their system on hope, because you know that the games are coming down the line. Yeah. And now it's kind of reversed. Yeah. Microsoft has laid out this amazing roadmap of 21 first party games. And we know that they haven't announced everything that they have coming up. Yeah. But they have already announced 21 first-party games. Amazing. Yeah. Roadmap, clear, transparent statements from the executives and everything. And Sony is completely the opposite of that right now.
Yeah, and I feel like there is a scenario. It's like, look, like, I get it. Sony, they're trying to keep a lot of this stuff close to the chest. You know what I think it really is? I think that Sony's never dealt with a competing Microsoft like this, and now they're trying to figure out and test the waters before they jump out of the plane. It's like, we don't want to commit to something, and then Microsoft does another move by buying something such as like Sega or something. You know what I'm saying? Like I honestly feel like Sony is scared of the money that Microsoft has, because I think up until now, Sony's been aware that they have money, but they've never really used it, so we don't know if they would ever do something like that. But I think because look, I got my ear to the ground. People tell me stuff all the time. No one told me about Bethesda. No one. So I know they were keeping that on the low. So Sony most likely didn't know that was happening. Imagine them finding out, if they did find out when we found out. Like, that is a third-party publisher, not developer, publisher, that Microsoft literally came out with, like, we taking our ball and we going home. So I feel like Sony, ever since that happened, they're like, we got to be careful how we move, because they're not playing anymore. And I think they've been very, very, what's the word I'm looking for, observant on what happens.
Yeah, it's a very good point. They have to figure out how to be a competitor. Yeah. And like you said, of course, Microsoft has had always the money. The difference is, though, now they have the dedication of the mother company, and they gave Phil the actual tools in the hand in terms of promoting him to the board of management, that he can actually organize that Xbox structure within Microsoft properly, because it's not enough to just buy studios. If you have like 23 Xbox studios now, you have to be able to manage them. That's not an easy task. Yeah. Sony, they have grown over the years. They learned how to manage all these first-party studios, how to make release plans for the games in the pipeline, and so on. That's something Microsoft has to figure out. And money alone doesn't help. But they are learning quickly, and they are doing all the right moves right now. And Sony is kind of now in that position where they have to be reactive to what Microsoft is doing, because Microsoft is giving the pace in the industry right now. Yeah, they are ahead in terms of innovations, features, value in gaming, and so on. And I think Sony is now really trying to figure out how to be a competitor, and not just that guy, that company that just sells the consoles because their competitors don't have the mindshare in the gaming community, because that is shifting rapidly right now. You see that through the positive mindshare that Microsoft has right now, even throughout the mainstream media that were like criticizing Xbox 1 year ago heavily. Yeah, there seems to be a shift in that mindshare, and Sony needs to learn how to deal with that.
And I think that they are. I think that you got people in the chat. You got to understand like what kind of scenario this is with them. They've never dealt with a Microsoft like this. They've never dealt with someone that is this aggressive. Look, there is a difference between someone that has a little bit more money than them and someone that can buy your company 6 times if they were able to. Like,
indeed.
The fact is that, I mean, they might be able to buy them more than 6 times. I don't even know what PlayStation's worth these days. I mean, Sony's worth these days. Like, it is a rough scenario to go through. Why do you think they've been so aggressive. Like we seen, contracts saying that, we never got clarification, but it looked like Sony's trying to prevent games from going to Game Pass sooner on day and date, because at the end of the day, that hurts the entire point of a marketing deal. Is if you could go out there and you could say, oh, you got a marketing deal for this game for, let's say Far Cry 6. Far Cry 6 got a marketing deal with PlayStation. And if they didn't put these in place, Microsoft just comes up there and they're like, we're going to pay you money day and date Game Pass. At that point, your marketing is dumb. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares anymore. Because
Really?
now everyone is more important on like, yo, we see this on the trailer and we see it being marketed by Sony. And then people's like, was it on Game Pass? And I think that's one of the reasons that they're working in this kind of direction, is because they do want to make sure that, they're kind of testing the waters. They want to see exactly how aggressive Microsoft's going to be. Let me ask you a question. Do you think they would have bought the people who made Returnal if Microsoft wasn't being so extra with money?
Good question. I'm not sure. Microsoft has, when they looked into their studio acquisitions, they have always looked, do we have a certain chemistry? Do we have a history with that studio? Do we know how that studio works internally because we have worked on previous projects with them? That's where how they looked at studio acquisition. So I'm not sure if they would have bought a Housemarque if Sony wouldn't have picked them up, because they don't have that working relationship with that. But it's in the end, the thing really is, like you said, it's just a different way in how Sony needs to look at things right now. In terms of their marketing deals are not that important anymore. Even third-party exclusive deals are not that significant anymore, because let me elaborate. I always say, should Microsoft do these kind of third-party deals like they did with Final Fantasy 16 now or something like that? Should Microsoft do something like that? I don't care if people can play a certain game on the PlayStation or not, as long as they bring it into Game Pass. Because I, as a gamer, don't get an additional value when Microsoft pays a certain amount of money to lock a game away from a certain platform. But I, as a gamer, do get additional value if they bring a day and date Game Pass. So even that kind of strategy is mixed up with how Microsoft changed the industry right now, and yeah, Sony needs to adapt to that, and I'm glad they need to, because I don't want people always confused that if I say stuff like that. I don't want Microsoft to win, quote unquote, the generation. I want them all to be on par, because that's when we get the most competition. I want them to fight for my wallet. That's where I, as a gamer, I'm a selfish gamer there, yeah, I get the most benefits out of it. If we have a situation like in last gen where Microsoft would dominate now the generations significantly and sells like double the consoles, like Sony does, like we had it vice versa last gen, I wouldn't benefit from that. I want just a proper competition. Want them to be par on par, and fight for my wallet, because I don't ever want that situation again, that a platform holder comes out and brings me a TV console at launch, or the arrogance to increase game prices to $70 or 80 euros respectively. Yeah, I don't want any of the platform holders to be able to act like that anymore, and that's why we need that competition.
Yeah, and it's like I said, like I actually have a little bit more of like a different take when it comes to that. I know a lot of people feel like timed exclusives aren't important, but the right timed exclusive can turn stuff. For instance, pretty sure we're never going to get Final Fantasy VII on Xbox. If not, it's going to be like years later. And we're gonna, let's say we finally do get the remake, we're gonna probably have to wait the same amount of time for the remake too. I have a PlayStation 5 pretty much solely because of that game. So, like, I do think the right timed exclusive is a very important thing. But, let's talk about the bread and butter, man. This Halo Infinite, man. Were you able to get into the beta?
No, unfortunately not. I did not get an invite, and I had to watch a lot of streams because I was really excited for the game, and I had to watch all the people getting excited and talk about the game on Twitter. But I wasn't able to play it myself, unfortunately.
So got a 2 super chat from Raiden Blades. Sony as a whole is worth $84 billion, so Microsoft can buy them way more than 6 times. But it's just like at the end of the day, is Microsoft willing to spend that kind of money? Probably not. I don't think even if Microsoft could buy Sony, I don't even think they would want to be honest with you. I think that's come and gone for the most part. So what of the Halo franchise, from Halo Infinite's tech demo, did you see that like what was something that you really liked and what's something that you like kind of got confused or you didn't like?
Okay, what I really liked is people said that a lot during streams when they played it or on Twitter, and from me watching the videos, I've seen that the gunplay is really on point. They really did put a lot of work into the actual gunplay. It feels heavy. It feels precise. It comes back to the OG Halo things where Halo was always about skill. The Halo multiplayer was always a skill-based multiplayer, and they optimized the gunplay for exactly that. And I really like that. That's exactly what I want. I want the shooting to feel good. I want to have that powerful, impactful gunplay. That's what really stood out to me, that you don't need to play the game to see that this is definitely some strong suit of Halo now. What did I not like? There weren't that many things that I didn't like. I didn't like people trying to actually find every little bug in that beta. It was a technical beta. They didn't even call it a beta. They call it a technical flight because they wanted to iron out issues. And a lot of people just were looking for bugs, and then there was a glitch or a crash, or even that fruit physics thing. I don't know if you have seen that, where someone posted a clip and tried to shoot a melon or something in Halo Infinite, in the Halo Infinite beta, and it didn't have the same physics like a Call of Duty clip where they shot a certain fruit. That's so stupid. That's what I didn't like. It is very confident from Microsoft because they knew that this was going to happen. They knew when we put out a public beta with no NDAs whatsoever, everyone was able to stream, post whatever they would like to. No NDA in place.
Things like that is the reason there is NDAs. Like,
yes, exactly.
It's like this. Look, am I saying that that's going to be different in the real game? No, it's probably going to be the same. But at the end of the day, why are we focusing how you could destroy fruit on a map? Like that is like, look, I will say there are certain things that it does come to importance in terms of, you know, the attention to detail. Like games like Naughty Dog, they build their whole game around attention to detail. Microsoft is not building through. Microsoft did not. Well, not Microsoft. 343 is not building Halo Infinite to have that kind of attention to detail. Like, we should be more caring about how the game feels, how the game plays. You know, the weapon balances, the map balances, how the maps are made. Then we should care on whether or not I could destroy fruit in 1 or 2 shots.
Exactly. Yeah, and to be honest, that is. Actually, it has shown me that they are really confident now in the product to bring out such a beta or technical flight without an NDA, where you know exactly that everyone is going to look for the slightest bugs, and they will bring out all the glitches and post those pictures on social media, and they still had the confidence to put that out. Just shows you how good and confident they are in their game, and that's something awesome. And I hope I get in the next flight. What did you like about the Have you played it?
Yeah, I played about 10 hours. Let me get this super chat
Awesome.
real quick. We had a $10 super
Yeah.
chat from Raiden Blade. Timed exclusives very soon. These are no longer going to be so easy in the future for Sony to lock down because of Game Pass. If Ratchet and Clank sold 1 million, there's 10 million PS5s. The look of MLB the show across 2 platforms. I do agree with you. I do feel like it is going to be harder for them to lock down timed exclusives. That may be necessarily harder. It's going to cost more money because not only are they going to buy that marketing in terms of, you know, how they market the game on their brand, they're going to have to buy the right to not have that game on Game Pass. So I think this is going to, you know, unintentionally raise all the marketing. Because the good thing is when
Yeah.
Microsoft does marketing, they don't have to market stuff going on Game Pass. They can just market to market the game. For instance, when they got Battlefield, it's still up in the air if that's going to be on Games with Gold. They could go to them to just get the price it would cost to to get the marketing for that game. They don't have to go to them and say, yo, how about this? I'll give you this amount of money to market it, and I'm gonna give you a little bit more on top to make sure it don't go to PlayStation Now, because no one cares if it goes to PlayStation Now, and you know I think that, you know, they know that would put some value in PlayStation Now, but they know that if they did do that, chances are Sony's not going to double commit and triple commit and get other games in there. And they know for a fact that Sony's not even looking into getting that game into PlayStation Now, so they don't have to pay that pretty much service tax to make sure it doesn't go there. You got a $2 super chat from Raiden Blade. MLB's 4 million sold, 2 million on Xbox sold, and PS5 2 million. It's interesting, man. It's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Those numbers have been out there, and it just shows you how many of the actual PlayStation gamers buy the exclusives. That's I was surprised by that, to be honest, because I thought at this point in the console generation, the console is mainly purchased by the hardcore gamer base, yeah, and they should definitely go out for all the exclusives. When you're at the end of a console generation where you also have a big big amount of casual gamers as an install base, yeah, that percentage that buy your exclusives probably goes down. But this early in the generation, I was really surprised about that.
Yeah. Now, look, when it comes to reel it back a little bit, when it comes to Halo, I feel like this is one of the only times I can honestly say I feel like Halo Infinite and the Halo franchise is in a good place. I don't think that Halo's ever going to be back to where it used to be. And there's multiple reasons for that. One of the reasons is we could just be honest that the competition is way more than it was 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And I don't think that, you know, they did do a good job by making it free to play so they can compete on that level. But I don't know if this game... Now, look, Fortnite looks like a casual game, but when you get into the competitive thing, it's not a casual game. But you could still play that game in a casual way and not still feel defeated. When you get killed, you get redeployed right back out there if you want to, and you're right back out on the field. On Halo, it's going to be different. Like, you're going to come across people that you can't outshoot coming into Halo. You're going to have to get better. So I feel like maybe that skill gap just a little bit is going to be enough to where they're going to have to, you know, it's going to be harder to sell. And it's not necessarily harder to keep people, to sell people on a free to play, because you'll be able to do that. It's going to be harder to keep people in the game when they're going to get mopped by a BR a couple times. I feel like a lot of people will, they'll flip out.
Yeah.
So we got a $2 super chat from Raiden Blade. Arch Mead's PS fans are all talk, no action. Sorry. I agree. He's talking about the sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I was surprised by that. But let me ask you a question about Halo Infinite. I agree with you. Like when Halo Combat Evolved came out, it was really the revolutionary shooter on consoles. I mean, I played hundreds of hours of GoldenEye, but it was a different level then. Um, and and now we have with Call of Duty Battlefield and all the other shooters out there in the field so much competition that Halo didn't have in its first years. I've seen a lot of people say that this game, Halo Infinite, now is still trying to innovate where innovation is required, but keeps that original flair of Halo. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, see, I would. My assumption on here is let me get this super chat real quick. $2 super chat from Danrios. Definitely butchered your name. We're gonna move right past that though. Halo's biggest hurdle is the fan base, and I agree that they have a lot in the fighting when it comes to the fan base. I think Halo has incorporated enough of the older Halos, and they have innovated it and made it a little bit more up to date as much as they could without making that older fan base pissed. Now, I understand. I'm with people 100%. We need sprinting. We need ADS in a modern shooter. But at the same time, I cannot blame them if they don't want to make someone mad that helped build the franchise. Like, to me, I feel the same way with Final Fantasy. They changed that franchise drastically multiple times. Yeah. They pretty much spit in my face as a long-term Final Fantasy fan for a newer audience. And it's blown up in their face in general. You know, I personally felt like Final Fantasy hasn't been the same in years. So I can understand their point of view. They're like, look, we understand that there's a lot of people that want something new for Halo. But what you guys got to understand is we cannot spit in the face of the long-term Halo fan. We're going to have to find a middle ground. What's up, Forte? We got Gaming Forte finally joined in here. I know he's played the Halo beta, correct?
Absolutely.
So at least
lucky you.
at least, you know, I got, you know, Halo.
Wait, y'all didn't get into the beta?
I got into it, but
the Boxendorf didn't get into the beta?
I didn't get into the beta, no.
Oh man, so man, we gotta find out what's going on, man. Archimedes supposed to have been up in there day one.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked him. What is the thing that you enjoyed the most, and what's something that you could have went out with, or they could have changed?
The thing that I enjoyed the most is the overall, the way it felt, the movement. I know some people are a little bummed that they took the dodge and the thrust out of the game. I was more of a component of like, okay, it's a thing. I did find myself like wondering where it was, and it wasn't even something that I was really keen and loved in Halo 5. But the fact that when I went to play it, I was like, yo, where's the thrust at? It kind of just hit me, and I was like, oh, okay. But just the movement in general, like the fact that they have it so you more walk at a faster pace and then running. So you don't even really have to run in this game. You could pretty much walk everywhere, and it's a more faster, better experience.
Now,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm unsure because I didn't really get the concept of this. You know, like the vision thing where it would like spring across the map showing you where everything is if you push up on the D-pad.
Yes.
There was a couple of times I saw people on that.
Yes.
So what I was told is if you're running, you show up on that.
You do.
So that's how do you feel about that? Part of me.
You show up on radar if you're running. So, compared to that. Well, that
wasn't even on radar. I'm talking about the thing that you press up on the D-pad. It's not even on the radar.
The situational awareness button.
Yeah, so I guess they consider that part of the radar too. Like to me, what they're doing there is they're like, look, we're gonna add running, but if you're being less aggressive, you're going to never be on their map.
Well, the thing is, it's an extended radar. It only shows people. It doesn't show you running on radar if you hit that situational awareness button. If you're not next to the point of interest, like some of the power weapon armors and stuff like that. If you're close to those things and you're running, it will show you on the map, or not show you on the map, but it will show that outline of you. It kind of gives you an idea of how many people are heading in that direction, so you can kind of plan your attack to be able to attack that area of the map like you want to with different teammates and stuff. But if you're walking, you don't show up on radar and you wouldn't show up on that ping. So it was like a really good game change. It was like one of those necessary game change elements I think they put in, because at first in Halo 5, if you were running, you couldn't regen your health until you stopped. In this, you still run, but you regen your health at all times, and your health comes back pretty fast. It comes back way faster than it came back in Halo 5. So I think that was kind of the olive branch they threw. It's like, okay, we're gonna let people move around the map really fast, but you're always going to be on radar if you're always abusing that movement.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Like,
yeah, it's very fair.
Like, if you're being aggressive and you show, because let me keep in mind, I played about 10 hours of the game. A lot of games. I only saw one time where someone was on that radar. So, but I didn't notice they were on that radar. So I do like that they're like, look, like we took some of the balancing things that we did in Halo 5, but what we're going to do is we're going to keep sprinting because we know the newer audience wants that sprinting. They want that ADS. We're going to keep where if you get shot in ADS, you're going to get shot out of it. And we're going to keep we're going to take away the regenerating thing, because I think a lot of people didn't like that in Halo 5, where like if you were running while if you were running, you couldn't generate shields. But what we are going to do is the only time people show up on your radar is if they're shooting someone or if they're running. And I think that, that punishes people for not playing more of the foundation of Halo. And I like that. I think that's good, because like I think you're going to see people start to run everywhere, but then when stuff starts to settle down, people really figure out how to play Halo Infinite, you're going to start seeing people play less aggressive and not running a whole lot.
Yeah, I think
that's an interesting component. Is it in every game mode, or is this locked to certain game modes?
You talk about what, the ping system or what?
Yeah.
The ping systems, it's embedded in the game like Apex Legends is.
Okay.
It basically calls out, your AI will call out point of interests on the screen. Now I don't think it calls out enemies just yet. I don't remember seeing it do that, but if you're looking in it basically just highlights all of the equipment and power weapons and stuff on the map. And if you're running, like if the other team is running close to it, it will ping them also.
So
awesome.
So after hearing that, because I know you didn't get into the beta, like, do you feel like that's trying them to be a little bit more, honoring the traditional Halo?
Definitely. I wasn't aware of that. That didn't came across while just watching a couple of streams and videos on Halo that this system exists. But that's actually quite a good idea to stay true to the OG Halo experience while still innovating with that modern shooting. What you need, like you said, sprint ADS is just stuff you kind of need these days in a shooter. But good to hear that they thought about it.
Well, see, what I like that they did is they continue to keep what we're gonna do is because Halo's always been a hipfire game. Yeah. And so they're like, look, we're going to give you the ability to aim down sights, because people's like, oh, aim down sights, we don't like that in Halo. No, you don't like that in weapons you don't use. Let's be real here. They didn't mind aim down sights on the BR. So, they didn't mind aim down sights in the sniper rifle. They just mind it in guns they didn't use. Right. So I'm just like, look, we got to be more fair to other weapons. We can't just have two weapons dominate the whole market. So they're like, look, we're going to keep it to where if you're shooting with the BR with any gun and you're in that aim down sights menu and you get shot, it shoots you out of the aim down sights. So it's like, obviously when you come up on someone, you'll be able to effectively shoot them a lot easier. But then the moment they turn around and they start shooting you, if you still have the ADS up, your shot's going to be less accurate because they're constantly shooting yours out of theirs. And if they turned around shooting and hit fire, they're probably going to win the engagement just because they are not being shot out of theirs.
Right. When I think about that, and I actually think that's a good compromise. But for most people, go into when the game, when you get a chance to, because this won't be the only technical beta they're going to do. They're going to do more, and they're probably going to be more focused around the PvP side of it. But when you get a chance, go into the armory, go into the barracks, and use those weapons against those moving bots and put it on like the 3-star version of it. That will basically teach you how the engagement limbs are going to be with certain guns in a hip fire versus having an aimed out sight. For the most part, you only have to aim down sight if you're shooting something from extreme distance. And none of the maps in this beta really benefited from that. I think you're going to see more like, stuff like Blood Gulch or Valhalla, stuff like that. When those maps start showing up with long sight lines and long distances, that's when you're going to see aim down sight come into play, because at that point it's going to be who has the better, aim when it comes to that. But as of all the maps we played on in this, everything should have been hip fire for everybody. Because if you were trying to aim in, even if they were shooting you with the sidekick, which I think is extremely underrated because that thing puts in work in hip fire, that thing will knock you out of ADS every time. So I think it really just comes down to just getting maps that really benefit the aim down sight portion of the game, but nothing that we saw in the beta of the 3 maps they gave us really benefited to that. So I would wait till those later maps and those bigger maps come out to start actually doing that.
Let me ask you guys a question. Obviously, multiplayer is going to be very, very dependent on maps and map size. Like, how many maps do you think this game's going to have at launch, and what type of map size do you think it's going to have? Do you think it's going to have, like, more of the map size that we saw there, or do you think they're going to have bigger maps?
What you think?
That's a good question. They said they will support that game for 10 years?
I'm talking about at launch.
Yeah, so I think they will probably launch with 10 to 12 maps. I think they will go a bit above their biggest competitor, Battlefield, this fall season. So something like that, 10 to 12 maps would be my guess. And they will have 2 or 3 really big ones, because I think they will bring back some sort of multiplayer mode like that. What was it called in Halo 5? The Warzone mode or something like that.
It's big team battles. That's
big team battle. Yeah, it wasn't big team battle. It was that.
He's talking about the
PvP, PvE.
There was Warzone. I think
Warzone or something like that.
I think that will come back, but I don't think it's going to come back anytime soon.
I think when they bring that back, they're going to bring that back if they do the Battle Royale, and they're going to interwove that into the Battle Royale experience.
You guys think they will implement some sort of Battle Royale?
Oh yeah,
Royale
it's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't think so.
It just seems too right for Halo.
I wouldn't hold up on that answer too much, Mighties, man. I wouldn't hold up on that too much.
Man, call this man by his real name. His real name is Archimedes.
Archimedes. Look, man, Archimedes. You guys know I don't pronounce stuff very well, and there's definitely don't pronounce other languages stuff very well, man. Look, man, you guys just gonna have to deal with it, man.
I need you to go to that man's YouTube channel. He says it about 16 times.
Archimedes.
There you go. You got it.
But I wouldn't hold on that too much, Archimedes. I wouldn't hold that thought process. Now, look, here's my issue. I love the game, but I don't like the thing with the shield thing. I don't like that. I felt like I would have preferred the bubble back.
Oh, you talking about the basically the rally barricade that you throw in front of you?
I would have preferred the bubble back over that.
That thing is useless. It was useless.
I mean, people are saying they put it behind them. That's all cool and dandy, but
if you're running away and you drop it and it blocks fire from behind you. I mean, I can see that, but I
felt like it would have been way more effective if they brought that bubble back. We haven't seen it since Halo 3. And imagine the fan reaction if they didn't tell anybody that was in this game and you did the tech test and you used a bubble. Man,
that bubble was awesome, man. They actually made a whole cinematic trailer for just that bubble. That was one of the most iconic Halo 3 trailers that came out with the bubble.
Oh, where he was like, is the chief dead?
Right, because his helmet was laying on the ground and he picked it up, and then all you saw was the Wraiths just shooting in
He's like,
plasma
not yet.
cannons
Then
across
he threw
the
a bubble down and got hit with a Wraith bullet.
Got with a Wraith bomb. I was like, yo, it was so good. That's what Halo. That's man, Halo. Man.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, they brought back bring back some of the old the old equipment, man. Where's the power drain? You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, like, you know, you would punish people for teaming for trying to come at you in like groups of 3 or 4 with that power drain. You would just throw that up on top of like a ledge, and then all their shields were gone, and they would get one shot it over and over again. Like, remember the power lift?
Yeah.
The portable power lift. I think that might have been in Halo 5. I can't remember, but like, man, let's bring some of this equipment back.
So you missed some of the equipment that they implemented in 4 and 5.
No, I don't think the bubble has been in.
The bubble was in 3, but I'm saying, like all the other stuff you're talking about, basically 4 and 5.
Yeah, I feel like the equipment could have been better. Like I like how you can use it whenever you want. I think that's cool, but I felt like, man, let's get some of this old stuff back, man. We got a $5 super chat from slow-mo backslap. Fortnite once had a mode where it would be a massive teams, like 25 to 50 on their huge maps. I could see 343 eventually doing something like that. Completely agree with you. I think that what they're going to do is they're going to roll stuff out in waves. Right now you're going to get arena and you're going to get big team battle. 6 months now to a year, then they're going to drop the battle royale. And then that's going to be playing 6 months to a year, then they're going to drop the new Warzone. And I think Warzone's going to be redesigned to what you're saying, Slow-Mo. So Archimedes, damn it. I don't know which one it is, but
You're getting there. You're getting there.
So what is your personal expectation when it comes to Halo?
I think since 343 did actually a good job with the multiplayer in Halo 5. I really like that multiplayer. My biggest expectations is about the campaign. I want that goosebump feeling like I had in the original trilogy, and maybe even in Reach, when I played through the campaign. I played through all the campaigns with my buddies in split screen. Usually we used to do that in local split screen, actually, except for Halo 5 where they took that out. So I hope that local split screen is coming back here.
I think they've already confirmed local split screens in the game, didn't they, Forte?
I think they did.
I think they said something after the launch of Halo 5, like 5-6 years ago, when they said something like, yeah, they want to bring that back, but now they haven't really confirmed that it's in the game. Yeah, but that's what I want. I want that epic campaign where I just get lost in the story and do that legendary run with my buddies. That's my expectation for Halo, that they really nail that campaign.
So what is your expectations, Forte? Do you feel like because I personally feel like Halo Infinite's multiplayer is in a really good spot right now, and it's so good, I'm willing to say that campaign's good. It's going to get a 90+ on Metacritic. Because
Halo Infinite has 2-player split screen and 4-player online co-op.
That's awesome.
So it's confirmed by 343. Awesome. It has up to 2 players. So you know how Halo 3 had 4-player. This one only has up to 2, but it's still co-op through the whole single player.
Awesome.
So what were you saying, Addict?
What is your expectations in terms of this game?
Look, I try to stay away from expectations when it comes to Halo, because I've kind of been disappointed on both sides of it at certain points. I felt like Halo 4 had a really good single player, but the multiplayer was left to be desired, and vice versa, the opposite for Halo 5. I like what I saw. Now, if I just talked about just the multiplayer, I think what they have is great. I wanted a faster moving Halo. I didn't want it to be a slugfest. I wanted them to kind of innovate on the idea of movement inside the game. I think, like I said, it's take it or leave it. Some people are going to miss that they don't have the thrust. I think it's a great idea. I think it should come down to positioning versus just a get out of jail free card when it comes to your movement. And that's something that the game is going to definitely promote. I just want them to have. I just want the game to work day one, because that's kind of been the overall arcing issue with a lot of games over the course of the last few years. And I just want this game to, I know there's going to be issues day one, because there's going to be, it's free to play. A lot of people are going to be jumping in day one. Game Pass is going to be day one. So there's going to be hundreds and hundreds, if not millions of people trying this game day one. So I just want them to definitely make sure that this game is 100% ready for prime time when it does release, and the multiplayer just be exactly what we got in this beta, and just iterate on top of that. And don't leave anything to chance. Give people exactly the Halo experience they want, because I do agree with Attic on the one thing. Sometimes the core Halo community can definitely ruin the way that Halo is actually being perceived, because they do need to innovate on it. But I do think they need to take into consideration some of the things that those people want, because those are the ones that are going to be playing the game long term. So I want to see kind of a meeting of the mind when it comes to that. And I definitely just want to see more and more people get into the game and try it out. And I think being able to have bots in the game, I think that's going to be a really good way to get casual people in, because if you didn't play over the weekend before they put the Spartans in there, man, it's kind of crazy. I ain't gonna say I lost to them and all, but I had to get used to basically that way of playing the game, which has been kind of a while since I did that. But it's going to be fun, and I just want them to just make sure the game is good day one. Not good in a gameplay sense, but good in a working sense, because we have seen so many games like Outriders be so good on day one. We see it with the Ascent right now. People love the game, but all of these issues kind of detract from that. And I don't want to see that with Halo, because this is it for them. They already said that this is our plan for the next 10 years, and you don't want to start out the gate on a bad foot. And I don't think they will, but that's the only thing I want them to really focus on, is giving us the best experience day one.
I agree with you. I'm right there with you, especially on the game being busted. Now, as long as the single player works, I'm willing to even be a little bit more acceptance if we have network issue the first day. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Because there's not a whole lot you could do about that. But 343, don't let me catch you. This campaign is glitchy. Don't let me catch you letting this campaign be glitchy, man. Because I'll go live right there, man. I don't even care. I don't even care if I'll go live and just talk shit while I'm waiting to get in. Because and it's not even just 343. I'm just so sick and tired of games not running correctly. I just had this issue with the Ascent. Me and Kid Smooth played that. I was having mad issues. I get it. Small team. Made by 10 people. I get it. But I don't care. At the end of the day, it's not a free game. You're charging money for this. Even if it's on Game Pass, you still got to pay $10 or $15 a month for this. It's not free. Stop letting these companies do this. I've gotten to the point where you know how they took Cyberpunk off of PlayStation?
Ooh.
I've gotten to the point where if a game runs like this, or like kind of the Ascent have a mad technical issues, yank that shit straight off these platforms. Because I feel like enough of that happening, these people will let them fix the game. A lot of the time you have these publishers that's rushing this out, trying to get it out so they can start collecting profit off of this game. And it's I feel like if the industry starts to retaliate on broken games, that's when we'll start having this stuff fixed. Imagine a world where they have to sit here and talk okay, you right now it's okay, the game's broke, we can fix it later. But if it was not financially good to fix it later because yo, if we do that, man, PlayStation gonna yank our stuff off their platform. Xbox is gonna do it too. Let's give them 6 more months to make sure the game works.
Mhm.
Like, look, I'm not talking about network issues. Not talking about that. I'm talking about games that are released like Cyberpunk, like The Ascent. Because if you guys tell me that they did not know The Ascent was broken, I'm gonna tell you that they lying. They knew it was broken.
I don't know. I have to play devil's advocate here a little bit because I played the Ascent pre-launch, had a review code, and obviously the server load wasn't big then. I have not had a single issue, and the day it comes out, suddenly co-op didn't work properly. I'm not saying they don't have the issue, but I think it's in this case really a server issue because pre-launch they didn't have that.
Yeah,
I played it pre-launch of Kid Smooth and I had it. I actually have
Yeah.
multiple gameplays recorded on my PC right now of it happening. And it's like you look, maybe we had different experiences, but I know 4 people right now that had issues. That one of them was reviewing the game, had so many issues that he started the game over again by himself. And then he had to play the rest of the game by himself because he got tired of the issues. I had the menus crashed on me. That I had a bunch of issues.
Yeah. I think if we can get the experience that we got during this technical beta, if we can get that day one on a mass scale with the people that were jumping
going, you guys?
in,
It's Lord Addict
I'm
here.
good.
We are.
I'm good with what we got. There was issues on day one. People were we were talking about people were disconnecting from the server. You couldn't go into games with teammates on the first day because it would drop you. And that was fine because you were still able to get into the game and enjoy it. The next day, it was perfect. I didn't have any issues at all. So it's a testament to them and getting that stuff up and running the way it was set up to be. I just want that experience throughout the whole thing because I see some people in the chat saying that it's a technical beta, and it was. And I think it was one of the best technical betas I've ever seen because they, compared to what we've been getting in full game releases, that's what the problem has been. Yeah. So I just want them to give me that on day one.
I do want to point out, I brought up the gameplay of me doing it. You could see that I'm stuck in the menu. There's no indication anywhere whatsoever that I have to press anything. I continuously unplugged the controller, plugged it back in. I pressed every button on the controller. This happened multiple times. Like, it happened, started playing it again. See, right here, it started working fine. I think it happened. It happened twice on this gameplay. I don't want to look through. I don't want to waste too much time. But I enjoyed what I played on the game. It's just, it was buggy.
Hey, man. I'm sorry to hear that because, like I said, I had that issues after launch, especially on the Xbox version. I mainly played the PC version prior to launch because they sent the review codes out for Xbox like 2 or 3 days prior to launch.
I had it about a week and a half before it came out.
And the Xbox version?
Yes.
Was there a day one patch for it?
So it might not have been a week and a half. It came out the 29th. I had it, I believe. Let me look at my calendar.
I think you had it like 3 days before.
No, I had it the Saturday before.
The Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, I had it the Saturday.
I had like the 2 weeks prior to launch, I got the PC code, and then like 2 or 3 days before the launch, I got the Xbox code. So I mainly played on PC. I only played like 3-4 hours before I started my review on the Xbox. But as soon as the game came out, I played a lot on the Xbox, and then I started to have these issues. Exactly what you've shown here. But like I said, I didn't really experience it prior to launch. Nevertheless, I'm 100% with you guys. We shouldn't let developers use us as beta testers. We are still customers. We are paying for that. Like Eddie said, we are paying for the games, made to be through Game Pass or when we pay them full price.
You know what
doesn't matter. Outriders is a very good example to me. That game still has issues, major issues, and that it's not okay to test your games in the field. So yeah, very good point, Forte. Very good expectation for Halo. Let us play the game in a polished state, especially after they delayed the game for like a year.
That is the main reason I said what I said. Because if this game was just coming, and I still had the expectation if it didn't get delayed, but I think a lot of people have a little bit more of an understanding because every game for some reason comes out in this fat. I just think the fact that they delayed it for a year and they had a technical beta and they're going to have multiple ones up until that point. We shouldn't, like I said, if I could just have the experience I had the day the technical beta came out and that be the worst of it, I'm good.
You know what would be crazy? You know how they would fix all this? Let me read these super chats real quick. I apologize, guys.
Pay those bills.
I went to the Ascent rant, and we got $5 super chat from Jared Mack. All hell the IOP just showing support. Definitely appreciate it, man. We got a 2 super chat from Raiden Blade. Is there really an issue with the Ascent? Not me. I showed you the issue I had. Well, that was just one of the issues. I had
Shout
a couple.
out to you, bro, for not having an issue.
But, you know, what happens if game was busted? On the stores, it just automatically got halved in price.
Halved in price. Everybody be hoping for a game to be busted day one.
Like, you know how crazy. See, when we want something, that means they don't want it. So, like to me, if they started becoming like actual punishment for broken games, it would be fixed real quick.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, the example you brought up with Cyberpunk is a very good one. That's how you get to the developers. If they wouldn't be able to sell a broken game, they wouldn't release it.
And
True.
We got to just get to the point where we're like it's not acceptable. And you know, I'm the same way when it comes to a game I really, really want to play. I could literally be told by 10 people reviewing, "Oh, the game's busted." I'm gonna see if it's busted for me. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to Halo, just have the game functioning, have that campaign be good. Now, I used to think that the campaign needed to be amazing. But now that I know the multiplayer is in such a good spot, that campaign, just don't let it be Halo 5. That's all you got to do. You make a great campaign, keep that amazing multiplayer exactly how it is, and you got a home run. Like,
I don't know, man. They ain't getting away with that single player. They can't get away. I can't let them get away with that.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
I hear what you're saying because I feel the same
There's
way.
a difference.
The multiplayer is going to definitely help that game stand out more than anything, but I ain't giving them no pass on that single player. Here's the thing,
though. There's a difference between having a solid single player and dropping the ball on the single player. And
they got to do more than just not drop the ball, though.
I don't think that. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, they have a solid single player, and they have that multiplayer how it is now. I think they have
What's considered solid to you, though?
I mean, it's subjective. I think we can all consider something different. Like some people.
I mean, on what? Like, if you had to come up with a game that was just solid to you, what would that be? It wasn't mind blowing great, but it was just solid. What would that game be?
I'm trying to think of a good example of a game I've played recently.
Because I feel like it needs to at least be on the level of Titanfall 2 good.
I
just finished the Call of Duty Cold War campaign.
How was it? I didn't play it yet.
Yeah, solid. Yeah, you know.
Well, Call of Duty campaigns are solid. They're just short.
Yeah, they were short. There was a very weird ending. It's a typical Call of Duty action, over the top action sequences and whatnot. Very short, extremely short. Yeah. This time it was, I think I played like 3.5, 4 hours, and I was finished with the campaign.
I have a feeling
that was solid. To me.
They have to at least give me. I mean, I know, and people say it all the time. Titanfall 2 is one of the best single player campaigns you will play in a shooter.
So they have to give you the best single player.
No. They don't have to give me. No, listen. They don't have to give me the best single player.
That's why I'm saying when you said Titanfall 2.
The reason that I say Titanfall 2 is because the gameplay married with the story was great. Like, unbelievably great because the gameplay is just phenomenal. We know what Halo's gameplay is. We just don't know what the story is. If they could at least hit the marker on the story type that they gave us in Titanfall 2, like the way that it was coherent, it made sense. It actually branched and, you know, brung other scenarios into focus from what the whole faction of the MIC and stuff was. I will be good with that because I know what Halo's gameplay is. The thing about Titanfall 2's gameplay, nobody saw the iteration on the first one that they did on the second one, and then you just married that with a great single player mechanic and story. That's what made that game stand out above everything.
I feel like
Halo, we already know it has story elements. They have a breadth of content from books to an expanded universe that they can chip into. The Banish is being a part of this game for the first time, and I know when we saw, look, Attic, we were sitting there. Look, let me get close to my mic, Attic. When Atriox was mentioned as being in this game, you lit up like a Christmas tree because that is the first time that we felt like, ever since probably Halo 1 or 2, that we felt like Halo has a distinct villain that they can really focus on. It don't have to always be about Chief.
I'm going to say something that you ain't going to agree with.
Oh, you go,
Look,
please tell me.
I definitely think that they have to deliver on the campaign. But if you think the campaign is going to be like Titanfall 2 level?
I don't think it's going to be Titanfall 2 level in gameplay, but I think it's going to be Titanfall. It needs to be that in experience of the single. The story has to be something
I want
like
it
that.
to, but I don't think that's happening.
It needs to. I'm not saying that's going to be make or break. It can still be okay, but I'm looking at it from a standpoint that Halo 4's campaign, it has to be better than Halo 4's campaign.
That's easy because that.
No,
Halo 4 was good.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. We're about to argue.
Halo 5.
Like,
sorry. I was in my mind at Halo 5. So,
I think Halo 4 is
a great campaign.
Is where I would say that they have to level. Halo 4 for better antagonists.
I'll give you that. If they give me at least a Halo 4 campaign, I'm good with that. If they give me Halo 4.
Yeah. The thing about the campaign is I want, like I said, I want that the epicness that the first trilogy had. You remember the first time the Flood appeared on screen? Yeah, that was such an epic moment. Halo 2 had so many goosebump moments in its campaign, and the ending of 3, awesome. I want that again. The problem is with Halo, that franchise is now 20 years old, and
it's hard to recapture moments like that.
Yeah, and the entire story, the lore, everything is with books and everything. So, well, let's call it complicated right now. And they have to kind of do that soft reboot where they can also bring in an entire new generation that play Halo for the first time. Because, it's been too long since the last game and too long since the franchise exists to really get everyone on board with the story. So they kind of have to do that soft reboot while still maintaining or satisfying the hardcore Halo fan base that is like there for 20 years now. And that is really challenging, especially when you consider that it's not an open world game, but a semi-open world-ish game with side quests and whatnot on the Halo ring. And I wonder how they will make that step. This is really not easy to bring in that new player base, make a understandable story for them, also satisfy us hardcore Halo fans, because I am a hardcore fan. Yeah, I also recommend to everyone, by the way, to play the Halo Wars 2 DLC to get prepared for Halo Infinite. But I'm not the only one who's gonna play that game.
Here's my worry. Archimedes. I'm just middleman. I'm gonna have to just pronounce your name as both, just so I know I get one of them right.
Man, we make it short. Call me Archie. Then it's
Archie. There we go. Archie.
Oh my god.
I like that, Archie. Okay, Archie. This is my fear for Halo Infinite. They have too many variables in a story-wise that they can't realistically tell everyone's story that they want to tell, so they're going to have to do it within DLCs throughout the next couple years. That's my personal fear, and I think that's what's going to happen. The vanilla is going to be the Banished. Then probably at the end of Vanilla, they're gonna have some kind of hint on Cortana or the Flood showing up. There's just so many different types of variants going on, different variables, different story thing. You know, Cortana by herself is a beast. They didn't really talk about her at all in these DLCs, to my knowledge, have they?
Mm-mm.
So that's
the DLCs, not.
Yes, I'm talking about in these trailers to the game. They really talked about Cortana. I don't think they've talked about Cortana one time if you think about it. Like there's the original one where what's his name came out and there was some energy coming outside.
But during this E3, they had that trailer where the chief talked to that new AI, and I think she was mentioned there that she's really dead or something.
So they did talk about her there. I'm referring to what's going on right now, like because it feels like wherever that was taken in the story, Cortana's no longer a threat. Something's already happened. Like but to me, how are you gonna explain Banish, Cortana, the Flood, all in one story? I think it's impossible, and I think
that's why I say they need a kind of a soft reboot to explain that lore, that story, the background to everyone. It's the only way you can do it.
You know what that reboot's gonna be? I can't guarantee it, but I say 10-year plan. By year 7, you will not be playing as the Master Chief anymore.
You think
by year 7?
You know, it'd be crazy if they're building up your PvP character to take.
That's
over.
what they're. I was just. That's what. No, listen. You remember Mass Effect Galaxy at War, where you had to promote your multiplayer players to the single player campaign? They got this whole academy thing that they're building you up through to make your own guardian, Jesus, your own Spartan. Play too much Destiny. Build up your Spartans online identity. I'm trying to tell. At some point during this 10 years, not saying because I don't want Master Chief to go away. I just think their direction is going to flip, and it's going to be more about the character that you crafted throughout those first 7 or 8 years, culminating with you becoming the face of being the next Spartan, did it being Master Chief. I think it's going to be a slow burn. They're going to weed people on that. As they tried to do it in one game with Locke, and that definitely didn't work. That's what they tried to do.
Yeah, Locke had his own TV show, but he should have had his own game.
Should have had his own game. It should have been more of a build-up, and I've
always felt like Locke should have had his own third-person cover action adventure game.
Yeah, because they could have. Because I actually
explaining how he turned into a Spartan, like why he turned into a Spartan, like. Probably like the game could have went in like the beginning. He's still with ODST. I think that's where he was. He was an Oni, or is that still ODST, just like a higher branch? I don't know. I can't remember. But
they said I just made his internet crash with that statement.
So like, what will happen is you throughout the game, you just push yourself more and more, and then sometime in that game, he makes the decision to, because it's a risk trying to become a Spartan. You could die very easily. Yeah. So he becomes a Spartan, and then that's probably like that's where the game ends. You know what I'm saying? Like you do the last mission as a Spartan, and that would be cool because it would show you the difference between a regular person and a Spartan. But they didn't do none of that. They're like, we're gonna put this dude out there. He replaced the chief. Like
General said year 7. He said I'm betting this in the first campaign expansion you'll be not playing as chief. Look. That's just me being optimistic. I think it's going to happen a lot earlier than that. It just really, truly depends on the story. Because like Addict just said, the one good point that he made on that is there is so many stories they have to like kind of integrate into finishing out with, finishing the fight with Chief again, especially since they're rebooting it a little bit. I think they have to get through that stuff. And depending how long it takes to get through that stuff, that's when you'll start seeing that, ushering in of another protagonist. Or I think they want to do the Destiny route where it's your character who you perceive as your avatar being the one that you're going on these adventures and stuff with. And that's going to be the long-term investment inside of Halo Infinite.
I agree. So is there anything else anyone wants to say real quick before we go ahead and close this up?
Your camera's looking really crispy, sir.
Yeah, it is. I appreciate the the compliments on my camera. So before we close up, I got one thing. Now that we played the multiplayer, I don't care if you guys don't care about Metacritic. I don't, but I'm curious. What's your Metacritic score thing that you think now? Because we're not going to see any more of this game. I don't think. Especially
You don't think we're gonna get another one?
We might see like another single player trailer, but as far as that, I think it's pretty much over until we see this game come out. Forte, what's your Metacritic score prediction? I will give you a 3-point curve.
Swing, 3-point curve. I think 87 to 90.
Oh, damn. That's what's yours? Archipine.
Yeah, similar. I go slightly higher, 89 to 92.
I'm gonna say 85 to 88.
You're crazy.
85 to 80.
How much of this is the 3-4-3? How much of this is the 3-4-3 effect you got going on right now?
No, actually, I've had a lot more, faith in 3-4-3 here lately.
Because I
it's just I feel like a lot of reviewers, they're going to care more about that single player than they care about that multiplayer.
I think that single player is going to be a lot better than you think it's going to be.
I hope so, man. Oh my God, please let me be 100%. I want to be 100%
because I think
but for some reason I feel like they're gonna have like a lot of holes. They're not gonna tell stories very well, like because I don't know. We'll have to see. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope this game comes out and it's amazing, but only time will tell. It's just I want what's best for Halo, and I think that they're doing really good in points in terms of a Halo multiplayer. But we got to see what they do in the future when it comes to how they're going to interact with this campaign. And I think that's the biggest question. But first off, let's go ahead. Anyone else got anything else they want to say? We good? Okay, we good. So
his name is Archimedes. Say it 5 times.
Archimedes. Where can the people find you, man? And I want to formally, publicly apologize for butchering this man like 4 times, man.
You're good. You're good, man. No, thanks so much for the invite. I had a blast here on the show. It was really awesome to talk to you guys here. And people can find me basically everywhere. We're under the name Boxenberger. On Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and especially here on YouTube, where I have my small YouTube channel where I do commentary videos about the gaming industry each and every week. So yeah, that's where people can find me. And thanks again for having me here.
I appreciate you coming on, man. Forte.
Yo.
Where can the people find you at?
Well, they can find me going to a barbershop in a second to go get my hair cut. It's about that time. But when it comes to me on social media and stuff, Gaming Forte everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. Check us out on DPS Podcast this Thursday on my channel with the illustrious Slow-Mo Backslap, who is in the chat right now, saying that all the stuff that we've been talking about for the last couple of last 30 minutes, he mentioned 2 years ago. So shout out to him. And yeah, Addict, great show as always. Glad I was able to come make one of these with you. So proud of the work you put in on this stuff. And much success in the future, sir.
You guys got what's that dude got to do to get on this DPS this week?
Have you been on DPS?
Not in a while.
You wanna? I mean,
because the last one we did, I was messing around with my camera, so I didn't really get to engage a whole lot. But
Listen, Slow-Mo said Forte telling someone about butchering names. Listen, I know how to pronounce Archimedes' name, though. So guess what? I'm going to make sure that I let people know. I'm going to scream that man's names from the rooftops because I can pronounce it. So be quiet. And Slow-Mo, so our friend Addict here wants to jump on DPS this week. So let's hit up in the DM and see what we can do on that.
Okay, and I definitely appreciate everyone for coming through. I got to read one super chat real quick. We got
to get you on there too, Archimedes, one of these days.
Oh, I'd be happy to.
We got a $5 super chat from Thanarois. Yeah, I butchered that. We ain't going to move on, though. Also, I bet the story is going to be ODST style with the taking places different times with different characters. That would make sense. I would see something like that possibly happening. Then we got a $2 super chat from Dave. Great work, y'all. Keep it up and game on. And then Slow-Mo said literally the only word you have pronounced correctly is you.
in years. Slow-mo. Shout out to the slappiest person on the internet.
And I appreciate everyone coming through, man.